my beautiful childhood friend suddenly moved into my room. You might wonder why. My name is Adam Williams. I am just an average single office worker. But right now, I'm doing my best raising a child. The 3-year-old girl is active and sometimes a handful. Every day I was flitting back and forth between work, daycare, and home. You might wonder why I, a single man, am raising a child, and there is a big reason for that. The 3-year-old I'm raising now is my niece, Hannah. Her mother is my sister. However, my sister and her husband died in a traffic accident 6 months ago. My parents are elderly and often in and out of the hospital due to poor health. I thought of turning to my brother-in-law's family, but it seems they were not on good terms, so I couldn't rely on them. But I felt bad putting her into an institution, so I decided to raise her myself. Luckily, I have a decent income and a good amount of savings as a single man. On top of that, my workplace is flexible with hours, and my boss, who is also raising a child, fully supports me. I was told I could take time off if something happened, and even if I couldn't work for a while, I had enough money to live on. But raising a child is not so easy. Hannah, now 3, is starting to learn words and talk about various things. But because she's still developing her language skills, there are times when she can't express her feelings well. And I am not used to raising kids. I cut back my work hours and left Hannah at my parents' home or daycare during that time, but honestly, it was not sustainable. While Hannah is usually quiet when she's at my parents' house or daycare, as soon as we get home, she starts creating chaos, shouting, "I want juice, I want to play." If I scold her while she's throwing a tantrum, it only makes things worse. In the beginning, I had determined to raise Hannah, but after taking her in for a few months, I'll be honest, I was feeling down. Every time Hannah cried, I felt like she was saying that she'd be better off with her real family, and I was feeling pressured. Seeing me like this, my parents decided to help. They sent a housekeeper to help me out. They suggested I should take a little break. They probably felt bad for putting so much burden on me, considering they were in and out of the hospital. The house was a mess, and there were many times when I felt I needed a woman's touch. I was really grateful for my parents' thoughtfulness. So, today, the housekeeper was supposed to come. She's from a home cleaning service. When I saw the housekeeper who arrived, I almost screamed. And Mary, Adam, we both nearly screamed in front of the entrance. Yes, the housekeeper who came today was my childhood friend. Her name is Mary. She used to live in my neighborhood, an incredibly beautiful girl, my first love. Mary was just so gorgeous in every way that there were many other boys who also had her as their first love. She had clear skin, beautiful long black hair, a figure that developed too well, and a calm smile. There's no way not to fall for her, and indeed she was extremely popular. By the time we were in the later grades of elementary school, there were love letters in her locker every day, and there was a legendary story about her receiving countless gifts on her birthday. When we got to middle school, the number of boys she turned down was countless, and I, who had been good friends with her since elementary school and often walked to school with her, was quite resented. But our relationship as good friends didn't last forever. Around middle school, she started being followed by a bad guy. Her parents decided they couldn't solve the problem and moved away with Mary when she graduated from middle school. We kept in touch for a while, but eventually we drifted apart, and that leads us to now. I'm surprised. I thought the name sounded familiar, but I didn't expect it to be you, Adam. No, I didn't expect you to be the one coming either. Apparently, Mary had received my information from the company, but now I'm not living at my parents' house, and this place is not near my childhood home. Moreover, Mary knew that I was pretty good at housework and used to help around the house, so she didn't think I'd need a housekeeping service. But once she saw the state of my house, Mary shrugged her shoulders. What happened here? The truth is, my sister passed away in a car accident, and I've taken it my niece. What? Mary used to come over to my house a lot when we were in elementary school. So she knew my sister, and offered me condolences. I'm so sorry for your loss. Hearing those words makes me a bit sentimental. I was trying to raise her well, though I know I can't replace my sister, but I've got my hands full taking care of her, and as you can see, don't be so hard on yourself. This is your first time raising a kid. If you have time to feel down, spend it with your niece. After saying this, Mary started to get busy. She opened the windows to let in fresh air, quickly put the laundry I'd taken off into the washing machine, and started tackling the dishes pile. She was like a wizard. When I picked up Hannah from the daycare and came back home, the house was unrecognizably clean, which even surprised Hannah. Our house is so shiny. Mary's work should be finished by the evening. I figured she would have left while I was at the daycare picking up Hannah. I felt I should have thanked her for her amazing work, and just as I thought that, "Oh, welcome back." From the kitchen, Mary poked her head out. She was wearing an apron, and her appearance was that of a typical wife. "Wait, Mary, weren't you done for the day?" "Yeah, I was, but I just couldn't leave it like this. Oh, here's your key." I had left my key with Mary and asked her to leave it in my mailbox when she was finished. I didn't want to keep Mary until the time I picked up Hannah, but it seems like she stayed anyway, after notifying her company that she'd be going straight home. "Nice to meet you, Hannah. I'm sorry to bother you at home. My name is Mary. You must be surprised, right?" Mary squatted down to say hello to Hannah, but Hannah, perhaps a bit shy, clung tightly to my leg. Seeing this, Mary smiled and said, "It's a bit intimidating, isn't it?" and then looked at me. "Come on, wash your hands and gargle. I made dinner, so let's fill your tummy first." "But, aren't you off work?" "Yeah, I'm done, but I just wanted to help out personally. I hope you don't mind." Mary looked up at me, her head cocked to one side, and honestly, I couldn't resist her charm. In fact, I was quite pleased. I have joked about wanting to try Mary's cooking before I left to pick up Hannah, and it seems she had heard me. Of course, I can cook too, but there are times when you just want to eat someone else's homemade food. So, I decided to let myself enjoy Mary's hospitality today. Hannah was initially nervous, but the moment she tasted Mary's hamburger, she said, "Delicious, better than yours, Uncle," and was wolfing it down. In no time at all, she warmed up to Mary. It's a hard pill to swallow, but Mary's burger is dozens of times better than mine. I wonder how she manages to make such a juicy and fluffy hamburger. And she even shaped the burger into a bear to make it appealing to children. Seeing Hannah's delighted face, even though I felt a bit frustrated, it must have shown on my face. Since you, Adam, have been taking care of Hannah, I was able to focus on the cooking. That's why it's only natural that my cooking is better than yours. She said something like that. At that moment, I felt my heart, which had always been half-hearted about childcare, suddenly lighten. It's always like this. Mary knows just the right words to say when you need them. When I lost a fight in elementary school and was feeling down, Mary would comfort me, saying, "Is it really amazing to win a fight? I don't think so. You're just fine as you are, Adam." And when it looked like I wouldn't get into the college I wanted, she gently pushed me forward, saying, "It's not the end of the world if you don't get into that school. You'll have other opportunities at other schools, and if you stress too much, you might fail to seize even those you could have." Thanks to her, the pressure eased, and I was able to successfully pass the exam. But Mary moved away, and I haven't been able to return the favor. I was thinking about this while I was putting Hannah to bed. I'm a grown man, and I really wanted to do something to repay her. But I've spent a long time apart from Mary, and honestly, I didn't know what she would want. So I asked Mary, "Hey, Mary, I want to thank you for everything you did today. Is there anything you want?" When I suddenly said that, Mary looked surprised with wide eyes. What's with you all of a sudden?" "No, it's not sudden. I've been helped by you since the old days, Mary. I just want to return the favor." "That's a bit too much." Mary tried to laugh it off, but seeing my serious gaze, she coughed a little in embarrassment. "Well, if you insist, there is something I want." "Really? What is it?" "I can't promise anything, but I'll try to get it for you." "Well, a spare key to your place." What? Mary looked straight into my eyes, without making a joke. "Well, without me around, Adam, I think you'll mess up the room in no time." Heck. Also, I'm worried about Hannah. Girls grow up so fast. Even you sometimes make comments that lack delicacy, so I want to stick around for a while. Saying that, Mary extended her hand. "Are you sure about this?" "Absolutely. It will be convenient for me, and I'll be happy to have access to your house." Mary gifted me with a warm smile, so I handed her the spare key. Since then, my life has changed dramatically. In the beginning, Mary would come over in between her housekeeping service jobs, but that was just at first. Lately, she's started staying over at my place, claiming that it's too much trouble to go home. Living under the same roof with the woman I once adored. It's a wonderful thing. But the reality is, with a 3-year-old girl in the house, there's no time to dwell in such moods. Thanks to Mary taking over the housework, I can spend time with Hannah, and Hannah returns home having learned a lot at her daycare. If I take my eye off her for even a moment, I'd surely be left behind her growth. So, I was happy that I could properly look after Hannah, and Hannah too, has seen changes. She must have associated Mary with her mom. Hannah started to become more dependent on Mary, and she stopped throwing tantrums. Even if Mary isn't her mother, the presence of a woman who is there to protect her must have comforted Hannah. Before we knew it, neither Hannah nor I could imagine a life without Mary. We started going out together, playing together, just like any normal family. It was about time to be a real man. I started thinking about marrying Mary, and wishing that we could stay together forever. But what about Mary? Well, she's done so much for us. I wanted to believe she feels the same way. But this is not something I can rush into. With that thought, I hesitated. Can anyone blame me? I didn't want to ruin this relationship. But all things have an end, and that day came suddenly. Actually, I was married before. It was when Hannah was asleep, and we were enjoying a quiet drink. Perhaps buoyed by the alcohol, Mary dropped this bombshell out of the blue. What? I was so surprised that I involuntarily screamed out loud. I hurriedly clamped my mouth shut and looked at the bedroom, but Hannah hadn't woken up. Feeling relieved about that, I listened to the rest of Mary's story. I thought, this guy seems nice, I could marry him, but turned out he was a huge narcissist. He only kept me around because I was pretty, and he demanded I make an effort to stay beautiful. Can you believe that? Mary was unusually venting as she said so. Despite her beauty, Mary was always sought after for her looks. Whenever Mary did anything even slightly ungirly, they all left her. It's so much easier with you, Adam. You don't complain if I don't drink cute cocktails, or comment on the design of my pajamas. That's just because your taste is so terrible, I've given up commenting on it. What did you say? While exclaiming, Mary puckered her lips and guzzled her beer in a robust manner. She always drinks like this, but today she was even faster and more masculine. By the way, the pajamas she's wearing today have a rather unique design, featuring a character depicted as a teacup with arms and legs, sitting on heels. I wondered why Mary chose it, but Hannah found it very good. I didn't understand it, and I'm not one to comment on Mary's clothes, but if a woman differed from their ideal, some men would point it out or even enforce their ideals. That must be quite stifling. So, thank you, Adam. For always accepting me. I should have married you. I wonder why I ever let you go. With that, Mary slumped over the table. I thought it was her way of hiding her embarrassment, but I was wrong. Mary had fallen asleep right then and there. Sheesh, you've had too much to drink tonight. I carried Mary to bed. In her own way, Mary must have struggled. All that struggle just spilled out a little. It's just because of the alcohol. This isn't Mary's true feelings. Besides, she just mentioned she's been divorced. She's probably trying to tell me she's not thinking about getting married again, but if she does want to get married, she'd want it to be with me. I just don't know anymore. I seriously pondered what Mary had said, but I still couldn't find the answer. So, the following evening, without a nightcap, I asked Mary. I figured I had to ask. Mary, do you want to marry me? What? Caught off guard by my question, Mary's gaze wanders. A little flustered, she stammers out, I'm sorry, I said something weird yesterday, didn't I? I get it. You have Hannah, and you're not thinking about marriage, right? We've been friends since we were kids, so we couldn't possibly see each other that way. And yet, I said something like that yesterday. Wait a minute. I want to marry you, Mary. I grab Mary's arm as she panics, staring at her intently. Then Mary looks at me with wide eyes. Mary, me, you do that. That's why I'm having this conversation. Geez, you always understand others so well, but when it comes to yourself, you're so slow. Really, no way, yay. Mary hugged me, careful not to wake up Hannah with her excitement. I was surprised, but I stroked her head. Mary cared about me too, but she held herself back, seeing me struggle with raising Hannah, figuring I didn't need more on my plate. In other words, the two of us, together, couldn't take that important step. It's pathetic for adults like us, but maybe this is the result of being too considerate because we care about each other so much. But Mary, are you really ready to get married? Usually, people are more careful about this kind of thing. I'm ready in my heart. Saying this with a smile, Mary stepped back from me. She then took something out of her bag and held it out in front of me. When she unfolded it, it's a marriage certificate. When did you get this? You remember how I told you yesterday that I was divorced? That made me want to show my commitment, so I picked this up today. Mary said this with a shy smile. Despite all the talk, I was determined to properly convey my feelings to Mary, who had prepared so well. I love you, Mary. I love you too, Adam. And with that, we both broke into laughter. Not long after, Mary and I got married. It's what you'd call a zero-dating courtship marriage. We were practically dating, but we had never been on an official date or anything like that. So, since we got married in that state, we were very conscious of each other's situation and very nervous about each other. Well, we were happy to be in that mix of beginning a relationship and a honeymoon period. You get what I mean, right? Despite all this, we didn't have a wedding ceremony. There's Hannah to think about after all. Besides, we thought our apartment was too small, so we bought a house, which meant we couldn't afford a wedding. Once we got the house and bought a car, Hannah, before we knew it, was 6 years old and had grown into a grade schooler. With our marriage, we officially adopted Hannah and we became a legal family. Now, hearing her call us Dad, Mom, brings us so much joy. And our family isn't just Hannah. There's a new addition on the way, in Mary's belly, our child, who will be Hannah's little brother or sister. Even though Mary's not showing much yet, Hannah has already started helping out around the house, perhaps in the spirit of being a big sister. Mary always said that girls grow up fast. She wasn't kidding. But there's always laughter around us. We're happier now than I could have ever imagined when it was just Hannah and me, and I am fiercely determined to protect this life at all costs. For Hannah, for Mary, for the child who's on the way, I've resolved to do my very best. How did you find it? Your subscription to the channel motivates us to create more content. Let's meet again in the next video.